Well, welcome to 10 Talks. Today's guest is Willow Johnson, and it is such a treat for us to talk to Willow, connect with her. And our desired outcome of our conversation today is just talking about being a champion in your life and in volleyball for her on the court and sports, kind of wherever you're showing up, how to really bring that champion heart into your life. So, Willow, great to see you. Thank you for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, you've been on quite the life journey. I've had the honor of knowing you for quite a while, and my daughter and you are great friends. It's really fun to just be able to share you with our team. And most importantly, we just want to hear your journey from where, just basically wanting you to give hope to the athletes out there. There's been so much going on, and you've been from club to college to pro, and just want to share that journey. So share a bit of your story with us.
Yeah, so obviously I went to high school in Arizona and I went to a Catholic private school, so pretty small, and that's kind of where like volleyball got pretty serious for me. And so my sophomore year I ended up moving clubs to a more like intense high level team so I could like go to a D1 school and really have the best opportunity as far as like getting on a really good college team. So I knew that I would have to like go to a better club that could get me to that level that I wanted to be at. And so that's why I ended up going to Arizona Storm. And so had my experience there for 3 years and met amazing girls. They also went off to do great things at D1 schools as well. And after going to the University of Oregon for all 4 years, I played there all 4 years and then ended up my senior year deciding to really take the next step of becoming a pro athlete, which is not only hard physically, but there's the whole mental aspect to it. And so when you have to play professional sports as a female, most of that is going to be overseas. And so that was kind of like a big challenge, I guess you could say, for me in like the mental area. So I ended up I signed with a team to play in Turkey. And so obviously the pandemic is going on and there's like world things going on that just
Yeah.
kind of made the season not go as smooth as, a rookie would hope, because you really want that transition from college to the pro league to be like as smooth as possible. And because of the pandemic, that was really hard. So we had like no fans, we're getting COVID tested all the time, just like a lot of restrictions, I guess. And then you have just the overseas life in general on top of that. So you have like adapting to a new culture, you have a new language being spoken, you have being overseas in a whole new country, like all by yourself for 8 to 10 months out of the year. And that's really hard, especially being 22. I'm straight out of college and then going to play in Turkey, which is a really high level place to play. But as a rookie, I would say it was really hard just because like the physical aspect has always been there for me. So it was easy to be able to take my skills that I have physically and just go play volleyball. But the mental part was really hard for me. So that was the hardest transition, I would say, was having to like be on my own overseas and kind of learn the ropes of, how international volleyball is played. And so just going off of the mental aspect of it, when I was dealing with all these things over there, it's hard to talk to your family because, the time difference is like 9 hours. And so not wanting to bother my mom, who I have a really close relationship with, and not wanting to scare her, like, oh, I had a bad day. Like she's all the way across the country, like, or nation. So
The
I can't,
world. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
world. Yeah. So I can't just, she can't just hop on a plane and come help me. So just dealing with that. So I ended up actually leaving Turkey, leaving the season, leaving the team early, and I came back to America around Thanksgiving time. And so I would say that was like the hardest part as an athlete was, okay, like what am I doing now? Like what is my identity besides being an athlete? And I think that's really hard for a lot of people who, especially like, let's just take a football player, for example, like you play D1 4 years in college, and then only a limited amount of those players can go to the draft and can be on and one of those NFL teams. And so I know a lot of them have that like identity of like, okay, well, who am I without football? And so that's kind of where I was feeling like, who am I without volleyball? Like, do I want to try to go get a job? Do I want to keep playing volleyball? Because at this point, we're having double days. And so my body is just like, decomposing literally as the days go on. And that's a long season. 8 to 10 months is a long time to be putting your body through that. And so I was like, you know what? Well, why don't I really take this time right now, like end of November through December, to just really think about what I wanted to do and start doing things for myself. And like, that's okay. Like, to be able to take a break from sports and stuff, like, that's okay. Let your mind, your body rest. And so I was really just taking that time to soak in my time with my family around the holiday time and let my body recover. And I knew that if I was meant to play sports again, like, the right opportunity would come and it would be placed right in front of me. And crazy enough, in January, like I think the first week of January, I actually got reached out by by a player who played at Minnesota, and she was like, "Hey, did you hear about this professional league happening in America?" And I was like, like, I've heard about it, but I don't know much about it. Like, I just knew that professional volleyball was going to be played in America, which for volleyball, that's amazing. Like, we haven't had a pro league here in America for years now. And because we just, the money and like it really sticking as a league has been really hard. And so there's always been leagues that would start, but then they'd end up fizzling off a couple years later. And so she asked me if I wanted to be a part of that. And at this point, I had that month and a half to really like reset and like figure out what I wanted to do. And I was like, well, if I'm getting this opportunity to do something so cool and amazing and help the sport of volleyball grow and become in America, like, I want to take this opportunity. And so I ended up doing that. And so I'm currently in Dallas, Texas. I have an injury, so I can't play the rest of season, which that's like a whole nother thing, is dealing with injuries as an athlete. But yeah, so I'm here right now. The season is 5 weeks long and you play 3 games. You play Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's pretty intense because, I haven't played matches like a 3-day back-to-back games since like high school, where you're having those like club tournaments. And so that's really intense. But we've been here since beginning of February, training and stuff. And not only like bringing volleyball back to America, but watching this league grow, meeting these high level players like Jordan Larson, Karsta Lowe, Betania De La Cruz, like Olympians, and being able to play in the same gym as them and learn from them and hear their experiences overseas. And it's just been an amazing like thing to be a part of. And I'm really happy that I decided to come back and play. But yeah, that's kind of my journey and where I'm at now. And so season will be over next week. They'll play this weekend, and then we'll all head back home on Wednesday. So I still don't even know what I'm going to do after this. But again, if volleyball is supposed to be part of me, then I know it will like find its way to me. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, is just like going with the flow. So.
Well, Willow, that is a beautiful story. And I'm so proud of you, just for you honoring you from a well-being perspective. I think that's so important. I mean, you've talked about athlete identity, you've talked about well-being, you've talked about trusting the process. I mean, all those things that are so great for our life. This, it's just playing out and you're just managing it beautifully. And so, what words of wisdom would you like to give to that college athlete who is really thinking about what's next for me? It may be their senior year, maybe they're giving it up. When you look back at your life, are there words of wisdom that you wish somebody would have told you? Is there anything that you'd really like to share?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, I grew up in a family where athletics was very prevalent in my family, and my dad was a professional athlete, played baseball for like 20 some years. All my siblings played sports growing up, and now I'm the only one who's playing. And so that was kind of hard, was, like having it was hard but also nice having so many like athletic people I was always around, because I get advice from them, and hearing my dad's side where he's always telling me to take care of my body, but just so much of that. But I would say one thing that I wish someone would have told me, um or even that I could tell someone, is just don't, like, really don't quit. Like, if you love something so much, don't quit it when times get tough. So for example, when back to high school, when I was playing on this really high level intense club volleyball team, there were so many days, and I know everyone who was on the team had days like this too, where you just didn't want to go. You felt like you couldn't do it. You're being pushed to your limit, like literally blood, sweat, tears, and you leave practice and you're like, I'm so glad I got that over with, like I'm done. But just kind of like that nasty cycle of like, you know you want to quit, but like you don't want to quit. And just, I would say, like, really just, if you love something so much and when times get tough, don't quit, just keep persevering, and don't put like small goals
Mm.
up, like put the biggest goals you have. And so for example, mine was playing professionally at this level, and I am there, and now my next goal right now is to get healthy. But there was a goal of aspiring to be on the Olympic team, which that's still definitely there, but I need to focus on my body and my health first. But I would say definitely just aim for the moon, like put super big goals and stuff you want to do, because you can accomplish it if you put your mind to it. And definitely don't quit when times get tough, is the two biggest things I would say to someone who is a D1 athlete, or just an athlete in general trying to maneuver through the athletic world.
Well, and also we work with life athletes as well. And those are people that aren't in sports at all, but they've got that champion heart. And so those are great words of wisdom for anyone listening. Just, go big, have the courage to go for it. Don't quit. Just, have that champion heartbeat of just, this is for me, and I'm doing it for me and for my life. It's what I'm really passionate about. And so you also referenced just taking care of your body. So let's talk about champion well-being. Really, how are you honoring taking care of your body, your mental health? I mean, it's so, when you're going big, there's so much pressure mentally, physically, emotionally, just everything is a tug. Tell us about how you've managed your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health.
Yeah, so I would say let's start with physical, because I feel like that's a good place to start. I would say, just kind of bringing up a story. So my freshman year, I'm going from high school where it's like high level, but not as intense as a D1 college. And so, people can tell you and tell you how hard it is, tell you for volleyball how many swings you're going to take, that you really need to take care of your body, but it doesn't really click until you're the person going through it and having to deal with it on your own. And sometimes there's that saying, like, they have to like learn through, like, you can tell them so many times to do something, but then they have to learn on their own. And so obviously, again, going back to my family, just growing up in an athletic family, my parents were always telling me, you need to take care of your body, you need to do this, you need to do treatment or rehab before, to make sure all those smaller muscles are like stabilized and strong. And so I didn't really understand, like, I understood, but I didn't really realize until my freshman year, when I had partially tore my rotator cuff, just because I didn't realize how many swings you're going to be taking, the difference between high school and college volleyball. And you're practicing every day. You're not practicing 2-3 times a week anymore. You're practicing every day, and you really need to take care of your body. So physically, um, after dealing with like a small injury like that, which I mean, any injury can be a big injury. Like I only partially tore it, but that's my moneymaker, like I have to hit the ball out there. So that was like very hard for me. And that's where I kind of realized like how much care I actually need to put in, not just in practice, not just, in the weight room, but before practice, after practice, taking care of my body, icing, doing like small exercises before practice that's going to get my shoulder ready to go. So I'm not just going out there cold and taking 100 swings or something. But yeah, I would just say physically, like being present and being like really being diligent with what you're doing, whether that's rehab before or going in to get, treatment or something like that. And as far as the emotional and mental aspect go, we actually were lucky enough to have like a psychologist, for like a sports psychologist at our school, which was super nice. And I actually used that resource, and that helped me a lot, because it's tough, being an athlete and you have all this pressure of like school and all these other things you're doing. And once it comes to the game, you're trying to focus on just that one thing and not all these different things that are going on in your head. So, and there's also, people get anxiety, like going out there to play. And especially in volleyball terms, if you're going back there on game point, you don't want to miss your serve, or you don't want to hit out or do something. So definitely training your mind. Something we actually talked about in this league was we have this app that pretty much like you don't not meditate, but like you visualize yourself doing these things before a game for 5 minutes. And they wanted us to do it like on the court. So we're really already in that setting of where the game's going to be played. And that has helped tremendously, just with that anxiety part of going out there and trying to compete my hardest and not worry about other things that are going on, but just be fully in the moment and trust that I know how to play volleyball. Like I have the skills, I've been practicing, so I can try to like take all the negative thoughts out of my mind, I guess, of like, oh, you're don't miss, but putting positive words instead of these negative words. And that shift can really help, just turning, I guess, to be a better athlete. Really is a lot of it is mental. So I would say just like training your mind and really putting like positive things in your mind rather than negative. Like if you make a mistake or something, say like, I got the next one in your head, and don't keep replaying what's going on, what just happened, your mistake. Like think about the next play and what you can do better. So there's a lot that obviously goes into sports rather than just the physical part, but training your mind, I've just noticed as the games get more intense and you're moving to a higher level of like high school, college, now professionally, like there's different things that are coming out, and you can't just focus on, oh, the physical. There's all these different things you have to focus on, nutrition, getting enough sleep before games or practice, all these different things.
Well, Willow, those are great words of wisdom. Let's talk about just the emotional and the social side of things, because having great friends, great family, connecting, really making sure that you are healthy with your relationships. What have been some of your winning strategies as you figured out really how to grow as an athlete as well as growing as a person?
Yeah, so I would say definitely balance. And I'm definitely not perfect, so I still make mistakes. And I would say just
Welcome to life. I would say I don't know anyone perfect at this yet, so we're
yeah,
all just practicing.
but when it comes to balance, just knowing that, I guess like one thing I find like really hard because I'm so busy all the time is like making time for your friends and your family. And, if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever, like making time for them. And honestly, that can be like your de-stressor almost. Like I know when I'm stressed out about what's going on at work, so like call my mom or call my sister, where you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. So I get to talk to them, but I also get to vent about, oh, I had a bad day at practice, or I had a bad game, whatever's going on. But yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of balance that needs to be had, because as a professional athlete, you're so busy all the time, whether that, back to what I was saying about taking care of your body, like you're in the gym for however long your practice window is, but then you have to do, the rehab and treatment and stuff after. And then I'm just so tired that I just want to come back to my hotel or wherever I'm staying and just lay in bed and just kind of like veg out and have my moment when I'm done with practice for the day. But then like I remember, okay, like I also can't be a hermit. Like I need to like, I have friends, I have family, I have all these people I can talk to, like not getting lost and like dragging yourself away from the social aspect, because I do think that can help a lot, just to have like a happy mind almost. Like back to what I was saying about just having a bad game or something, I think that like outlet can really help. Um, I don't know, I really like drawing, so sometimes I'll do that if like I don't want to think about volleyball all the time. But I definitely think a lot of it comes with balance and time management. And like I said, I'm not perfect at that. Like I can go like days without talking to my friends and family, and then I'll be like, oh shoot, I should probably like tell my mom I'm alive. So it's hard, but we're learning and we're maneuvering through this. But
And Willow, you're doing a beautiful job. And thank you so much today for just sharing your journey with us, your winning strategies. So as we close, and just words of wisdom that you want to send to anybody out there to give hope for them to really be able to go for their dreams the same way that you've gone for yours.
yeah, just keep advocating for yourself. Like, I mean that in a professional standpoint, or, with friends, family, whatever you're doing, whatever your job is going to be, like advocate for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're the only person who can get you where you want to be. And so I kind of learned that in Turkey as my first real job, I guess you could say. I had some other jobs like babysitting, stuff like that, but like first professional job where you have to, this is my boss, I have to show up to work, like stuff like that. And just advocating for yourself. Like mine's more physical, so like maybe one day, my shoulder's hurting, so I'm like communicating that to my boss. But I would just say really advocate for yourself if you want to raise, or if you want, you know XYZ. Like just make sure you're communicating, and don't, sometimes I get nervous to like have those conversations because it's scary. Like, if you go up to your boss and you're like, yeah, I want to raise, but just confidence, advocating for yourself, be patient. Stuff is not going to happen the next day. Like you have this whole road. And I think sometimes I get lost in like, oh, I want the results now. But that's kind of trust the process moment. You have to realize that, okay, like this is my goal. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but like I can do this to get to that goal. So, yeah, I would say just, again, don't aim too low. Like make sure you're aiming high, and stay positive, train your mental, train your physical, whatever your job may be, and just advocate for yourself.
Beautiful. Well said. Well, team, what a gift Willow gave us today to just let us hear her words of wisdom, be in her life. And Willow, thank you for having the courage to just be the champion that you are. I'm so proud of you. I'm sending you lots of love, always on your support team, cheering you on. And team, just want you to be able to go out and go for the life that you want, be a champion for you, as Willow said so beautifully, advocate for you, for your dreams. And most importantly, just have the courage to train for it. Life is so worth it when you're going for big dreams and you're disciplined, committed, and you've got a great support team around you. So go out and win your week, be a champion for your well-being. And Willow, thank you so much for the gift of you today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.